All right, well, good morning or good evening or whatever it is for you right now. After having watched that introductory video, either you know too much about me or I don't know what, but we're going to do something else now. This is our second video that we're going to make, and what we're going to do here is we are going to talk about the syllabus, and we're going to talk about Canvas. Now, some of you are experienced at this. You rolled hats at this kind of thing, with the exception of the virtual aspect, but you've been through syllabi before and you've worked with Canvas before. That's going to be very helpful. There's one caveat here, and that is that the syllabus we're going to be looking at specifically is History 9's syllabus. But for those of you in History 132, understand that the syllabi are exactly the same, although they're for different classes. Stated differently, the way we're going to go through class and experience class in History 9 is essentially the way that those of you in History 132 are going to experience class and go through class. So I've got the History 9 shell put together, which I'm going to show you. I'll be copying that over in an hour or so to the History 132, and then I'm going to post both of them. And so you will, of course, it will have already been posted, but the point is that basically these classes kind of model one another, although the content is, well, quite different. But the way that I'm going to teach the classes is going to be essentially the same. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and look at the syllabus and the and Canvas now. All right. All right. What you see here is you see the History 9 syllabus. As I said, it's almost exactly the same as the History 132 syllabus. There's no exceptions in the policies and so forth. So we're going to be using the History 9 syllabus. But if you're in History 132, just imagine that it's History 132 syllabus. As for class meetings, we will be meeting on Wednesdays and Fridays. There are a couple of Mondays on which we'll be meeting, only two, I believe. But we will be meeting on Wednesdays and Fridays, and we will be meeting as an entire class on all of those days. If you're in History 9, we'll be meeting from 9 to 9:50. If you are in History 132, it'll be 10 to 10:50. And we will be meeting via Zoom links or via the Zoom software. Those links will be in Canvas, and all you have to do is click on them, and that'll get you right to the meeting. It's all set up in advance, and I will be there, and you will be there, and we'll have a good time. By the way, the process for office hours will be the same. I've got office hours from Tuesday and Thursday from 12 to 2:30. And you can come to my virtual office hours. I've got those set up so that if you come and there's somebody in the office with me, as it were, you'll be in a waiting room, but you'll be let in as soon as that individual in front of you or whomever that might be is out of the way, as it were. And similarly, there is a Zoom link for office hours. Now, I want you to know that I will be happy to meet with you and chat with you outside of those office hours. I'm completely flexible. We can make those arrangements, and I'm happy to. And in fact, I want to. I'm hoping that I'll get to know as many of you as I possibly can, and maybe office hours or outside of office hours is the way to do that. And if it's just that you want to pop in and chat and talk with me about something, then that's fine. We can do that. I'm happy to do that. Just like dropping by my office for no particular reason, just because you want to chat about something. And if that's personal in nature or academic in nature, it doesn't matter to me. Now, for those of you that may not be familiar with Canvas, although I guess you already are because you're here and you're watching this thing, here's the information for Canvas. My email is here, jfarrell@csufresno.edu. As I say, I'm pretty good about getting back, usually within 24 hours. I want you to respect that you know, I've got a life to live too, and I'll do my best to get back with you as quickly as I possibly can. But I kind of promise you that I'll do it within 24 hours. If you send me an email on the weekends, I'll get back to you within 48 hours because, you know, my weekends are important too. So as far as the kind of general information of the class goes, this is it. We have a kind of a unique situation, of course, because you can't just walk to the history department office, but it is important that you be able to contact my superiors, in particular my direct superior, Dr. Scubin, in the history department, who is now the department chair, has just started a new term. And so I put Dr. Scubin's contact information here also. I think it's important. We think it's important. The university thinks that it's important that whatever concerns you have that either can't be resolved by me or need to be resolved in some other way than by my actions, then Dr. Scubin is your contact person. The university, of course, is concerned about your health and our health and everybody's health. So please be careful to read these sections on health screening and safety measures. And of course, I want to encourage everybody here to wear a mask when you are in public, to stay 6 feet away from people, to respect the fact that this virus is not only spreading right now in our area, but it's also dangerous. And it might be, as a young person, that you personally will not be ill affected all that much by contacting the virus. Please be respectful of all of the rest of us for whom it could be deadly if we were to contact the virus. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and I'm not going to get into that right now, but I want to encourage everyone, always, everywhere, to practice good hygiene. And that's absolutely important. It's your civic responsibility, your moral responsibility, your responsibility to your fellow Americans and your neighbors and your country, as it were. We need to kick COVID's ass, and we're not going to do it if we don't take care of business. And so let's make sure that whether we are on campus or off campus, we are doing everything in our power to make sure that others can remain healthy so that we can get this thing under control, get our economy working again like it's working in so many other countries who have managed to kick COVID's ass, at least for now. The course itself that you're taking is either a Russian Civ course or a European history course. I really don't have much to say about that. These courses will flesh themselves out as we go along. My pedagogy, my philosophy is essentially to build an edifice. We start on the bottom and we add bricks and mortar, which is of course our understanding. And by the end of this course, I guarantee you, whether it's History 132 or History 9, if you really work and you really pay attention, you are going to learn a ton, and it will build upon itself, and it'll be a good experience for you. Remember that this syllabus is a contract. We're going to do our best to not change it. In past years, I never changed my syllabi. But of course, this year has taught me that sometimes there are circumstances in which the syllabus is going to have to be changed. If that happens, of course, it will be transparent. Everyone will know about it. I will be upfront and straight with you about it. And I'm only going to ever do it to make the class more manageable for us. I'm not going to make the class harder, I hope, or if it is harder, it will be because it needs to be harder or something like that. I don't even know if harder is the right adjective to use, but nevertheless, this syllabus is a contract. I'm bound to it, and you are bound to it. Its policies are the rules of the game, as it were, and in a society that at least pays lip service to the rule of law, I want you to know that this is the law, and that's how it's going to go, and that's how the ball is going to bounce, that's how it's going to be. Implicitly, by putting such things as these resources in your syllabus, I'm telling you that I care about you. I'm telling you that I care about your whole person, not just the student part of you, but your soul, your psyche, your humanity, your physical well-being, your calorie intake, whether or not you're getting enough rest, whether or not a recent breakup with a lover is too much for you, or the death of a family member, or just the general life that you have to live with. All of those things, as I made clear in my personal statement, I understand and I'm sympathetic about, but I also want you to be healthy in all ways. And so I just want you to understand that whether we're talking here about the Student Health Care Center or the Student Counseling Center, there is a link to it. There's a writing center on campus, of course. The Henry Madden Library and the librarians are very useful. I would encourage you to use that resource as much as you possibly can, however you can, in this weird kind of time in which we live. If you are a student with disabilities, please understand that you have rights and protections, and we want to make sure that everything runs smoothly for you. And I also want to say that I want you to be clear with me about what those disabilities are, and that's very important. But of course, you don't have to share that with anybody. But certainly, if you feel the need to register with and take advantage of the protections that the Students with Disabilities Center provides, then I encourage you to do that. We have tutoring on campus, which probably won't be all that helpful for you, but it could be. In particular, the Writing Center is very important, and it looks like, oh yeah, I did have it on here. So that might be something that some of you could use. If, I see some of you struggling, I might refer you to SupportNet, although I usually just do that with my lower division classes, and by that I don't mean my History 9 classes, I mean my survey classes, my general ed classes. But if I do refer you to SupportNet, please don't be defensive about it, and please understand that it's me just trying to help you in whatever way I can. You don't have to respond to SupportNet if they reach out to you, but you might want to. So that's up to you. And these last two things are really quite important, if you ask me. Some of you, in fact, I don't know what the percentages are, probably 20, 25%, maybe higher, are actually living in circumstances where you are food insecure. You're not getting enough food, you're not getting enough calories, and you're not eating well because you can't. And I just want you to know that Fresno State has a student cupboard which will assist in that regard. And by the way, for those of you that are parents, I just want to say a few things about this. For those of you that are parents or you are caregivers of siblings who are young, first of all, I want to say that we honor you and we respect you, and we know that you're trying to do right by your family and by yourself, but that you have an added responsibility, whether you are a parent yourself or you are parenting or caregiving for family members or friends, whatever the case may be. The student cupboard might be a place for you. And I say that with reference to parents, of course, not just because of food, but because the student cupboard also will provide free diapers for Fresno State students and for their families. And that's something. And who knows what's going to happen in the next months and in the next year or two, depending upon the economy. So anyway, I just want to point that out to you. And then for those of you that need off-campus basic needs or mental health resources, please understand that we also have this Project Hope. And here is the person who is the case manager, and we want you, of course, to reach out to them. And so the point that I want you to see here personally is that if I didn't even mention these and I just put them in the syllabus, implicitly, I would be telling you that I care about you, but I'm not being implicit, I'm being explicit. And this course is important, I understand that, and you're taking it seriously already, I understand that, but your life is important too. And I want you to be healthy and happy as you engage in our endeavor together. Happiness may be elusive, maybe we can't get it, but I certainly want you to be healthy, and I certainly want you to be content as far as that may go. Obviously, technology is a very important part of this course. I'm not going to say too much about that, but I have put a lot of information in the syllabus. Should you need help, with apps and things like that, there's the Discover hub that you can contact. Let me say that email will, of course, be required in this class, and I want you to make sure that your Fresno State email, the mail.fresnostate.edu email that you have been assigned by this university, is in the loop of your email reception. So I don't care if you don't use that as a primary email, but you must make sure that your primary email is forwarded to that account, because that is the only email account with which I will be communicating with you. So it's very important for you to take care of that. Canvas, of course, is going to be the learning management system for this course, and it's going to be very important to you. And so we're gonna be working with that. And with that in mind, I guess I'm just going to go ahead and kind of minimize this a little bit, and I'm going to go to the Canvas shell for a second. And I'm not sure how much time we'll spend on it, but I'm going to go ahead and open this up. Now, this is the History 9 Canvas shell. And it will be published, and when it is published, of course, you'll have access to it, and that will be within, well, it will have already been published if you're watching this, now that I think about it. But anyway, I've got you in the student view, which is to say that this is what your page is going to look like. Whether it's History 9 or History 132, they will be designed exactly the same way. So I'm going to leave student view for now. Actually, I'm not going to leave student view. I'll just stay in it. But anyway, here is how the course is designed. The Start Here module is very important. And let me say that on this Start Here module, I have yet to insert the two surveys that you're going to have to take. One is a personal survey. The other is a team survey, a team placement survey. And I need you to do those immediately. So as soon as this is accessible to you, and as soon as you're done with this video, I want you to fill those out so that I can know your needs, but also so I can place you in your team. Because as I'm going to explain to you, the class is going to be divided up into teams, and you're going to be working with a group, and I need to assemble those teams, and that's why the team placement survey is so important. And I need you to do it by Friday, August 21st. That is, this Friday. And I don't want to have to hound you, but I will. And that's going to be your responsibility. So you've already seen, the self-introduction video. You're watching this one here. I especially want you to watch this one on microaggressions. You may think it's not important, but I think once you watch it, you'll realize that it should be, and that it is. And even if after you watch it you think it's unimportant, nonetheless, it is required watching, and I want you to think about it and listen to it and honor the implications and the explicit prescriptions that are given in it. Okay. My teaching philosophy is here. You can read that if you wish, and of course, the syllabus and the schedule are here. Okay. The Zoom meetings. Basically, all you have to do is click on the link, and those meetings will open up for you. So on our Wednesday, Friday meetings all semester, this is the same link. You just go there, and you'll have access to the class meeting. For the 2 Mondays on which we'll be meeting, which are the only 2 Mondays on which we'll be meeting, I have separate links for those. Supplemental materials may or may not contain the things that I have here, but there will be a tab for supplemental materials. And these are all the things that don't fit somewhere else, but are nonetheless important. And I'll be changing that up a little bit because, you know, the design of Canvas is very important. But there will be a supplemental materials tab. And then when you come down here, what you're going to see is you're going to see 8 different modules. And the dates on which you should be working on these modules, and certainly the date by which the module should be complete, is in each module. So I've gone through and told you when you should be working on this module. Basically, each module is 2 weeks of the course or so. Notice that each module will have an overview lecture, which I will be providing. For each module, you should watch that in advance, frankly, of doing your reading. I'll have it up at the beginning of that module. Hopefully I'll have it up by August 21st. I realize I've got some work to do here. But anyway, so you'll need to watch that. And then the reading materials that you might need, with the exception of the textbook, the Evans book, which we'll talk about in a moment, will be here. And you will have extra readings. By the Evans book, by the way, I'm talking about History 132. This is History 9. History 9's readings are all here. So let me just show you how that works. On this particular day and for this particular reading, you simply click on Pushkin, and basically what happens is that PDF opens up, or it should open up, and that's the day's reading. Okay, that's the day's reading, and on that day's reading there will be some focus questions which you will need to pay attention to, and you'll need to be ready to answer, which we'll talk about. But anyway, I'm just kind of showing you how the course is going to work. So you have readings. You'll also have focus questions. These are all the focus questions for the first module. And so when you open this up, for instance, what you'll see is for instance, the focus questions for Friday's reading, or for this for your next assignment, or for all of the assignments as far as that goes. So each module contains focus questions for the entire module. Come on now. Focus questions for the entire module in some way or another, and also IDs. That is to say, concepts and words which you should be able to identify and talk about to a certain extent. And anyway, that's kind of how that works. I'm getting ahead of myself actually, but that's all right. And then, of course, you're going to have discussions. Basically, on every Wednesday, you're going to have to answer one of the focus questions to some degree on a discussion board. And all of you in your group will do that. All of you in your team will do that by the due date. And then on Friday of that week, usually, you will have to do a discussion answer. And you will have Wednesday and Friday, or whatever the case, with these dates, and each week you'll have one answer and you'll have one comment. And the comments need to be on your colleagues' or teammates' answers from a couple of days prior. And this is going to create opportunity for you to dialogue with one another. My suggestion is that you create a Google Drive for the team, and that you use that to communicate with one another and help one another and so forth. But we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. And so basically the way it shakes out is that every 2 weeks you'll have an overview lecture. You'll have readings which have focus questions. You have IDs to commit to memory and understand. And then you'll have 2 discussion board entries every week, one answer and one comment. And basically that's how the whole course is going to unfold. Okay? You'll also have some quizzes from time to time. In this case, what we call a quick write. And we'll talk a little bit more about those, but you'll notice that they're already placed in the shell as well. And so basically each 2-week portion of the semester is created or turned into a module, and that's how it's going to work. All right, so that's what the Canvas shell looks like. Notice that we will be using Respondus Lockdown Browser. We'll talk more about that for your writing assignments, like your quick writes and your exams. And everyone will have to download that and make arrangements to use Respondus. We'll have some practice quizzes, as it were, and you'll be able to do that. Now, as far as the class meetings go, let me just say this, that yes, we are going to meet every day. Not every day. We're going to meet on Wednesdays and Fridays, and we're going to record the sessions, and we're going to post the sessions. So whether you come to class or you miss class, there's no reason for you to, for lack of a better term, miss class. And you will be responsible for everything that takes place in that class. So for now, I'm just going to say that the classes are synchronous. That is to say, we meet together, but you can experience them asynchronously, which means outside of class. Okay. And for reasons that I'll explain, I don't want you to miss class, but if you have to miss class, then you have to miss class. Now, in History 9, these are the required books. In History 132, there's only one required book, and that book is available at the Kennel bookstore. And these books here, Figes, Turgenev, and Kussler, are also at the bookstore. And these two other books I'm essentially providing for you. But you can get your own copies of these books if you want. Now, in the case of Figes, let me say to you History 9 students, I have put the entire book on Canvas, but I'm not sure that you'll want to use that copy. I think getting your own copy might be a good thing, but that's completely up to you. It's available to you, so in that sense, the class, you don't have to spend any money on books for this class. In the case of History 132, you basically only have to buy one book, and that's the Evans book, and that's available at the Kennel bookstore. But we've managed to make this much more cheap for you through the years. So anyway, that's an issue, but I just want you to know that you do have required textbooks and materials, but most of those will be provided to you and for you via Canvas by me. If you want to get hard copies of those readings, that's completely your business, but that's up to you. So in the class, we're going to have daily readings. Every day you come to class, you will have been responsible for reading and for answering focus questions on those readings. Okay? As I mentioned, we're going to have lectures, and I'm going to put those up on Canvas, and you will be responsible for those in one way or another. This is new to me, and I'm still trying to figure some stuff out, but basically those lectures will help you contextualize what you will be reading and what you will be studying in the 2 weeks ahead, essentially, in that module. It's not my intent to teach you anything more deeply than the readings that you will be assigned. It's my intent to kind of contextualize that and make the information that you'll be taking in, shall we say, more palatable and contextualized. And then, as I've mentioned, I will be providing supplemental materials. They will be in Canvas, and those will be self-explanatory. As far as the work for the course goes, you are going to have a midterm essay exam. At the midway point, it's going to cost you 200 points. That is to say 20% of your grade. It is going to be taken from the focus questions for that half of the course. I'll have more to say about that. I will be more precise about what questions you should be studying for. I'll give you 5 or 6 a week or so before the exam so that you can begin to kind of pull your information together. And the same thing will happen on the final. So there'll be exactly the same kind of exams. There'll be written essays. You'll have a time limit of an hour. You'll submit it. I'll grade it, just like essay exams work. You're also going to be doing quick writes, 4 of them, so-called quick writes. You'll be able to plan for them, but you won't know which ID I'm going to ask you to write on. I will give you an explanation of how to answer a quick write and how to write an ID answer. But I won't tell you what the ID is going to be until that day. You'll just know that you have to be prepared for it, basically. So this is kind of, you can think of this as a quiz, as a written quiz, and I'm trying to keep you on your toes. And every 4 weeks, or no, we're going to have 4 of them. So yeah, every 4 weeks we'll have a so-called quick write. You'll also be writing an essay in the course, a 1,500-word essay. This will not be a research paper per se, but as the instructions say, as the syllabus points out, this essay will be based upon what you've learned in class, and you'll be using the evidence, the research, as it were, all of the readings for this course to write that paper. So I'll have more to say about that in the future, but you're going to have to turn that in. That's going to cost you 200 points. And so basically 700 of the 1,000 points are going to be based upon your writing and your ability to either write a paper or process and assimilate and articulate your understanding of the class material. The other 300 points, or 30% of the course, will come from your teammates. I'm going to break the class up into 6 groups of roughly 5 to 7 students. That will be your team. You'll be working together daily. By daily, I mean when we meet in Zoom sessions. You will be discussing things with one another. You will be communicating on the discussion boards just with those 5 to 7 people. For instance, you'll answer a question on Wednesday, and by Friday you need to comment on someone else's question. And one of the things I ask you to do, you're going to be doing this 16 times throughout the semester, I ask you to rotate through your colleagues. So you can't answer the same person, you can't comment on the same person's answer all the time. I want you to be answering one another's answers or commenting on one another's answers. The focus questions, of course, are a very big part of this course. So every day when we meet, I'll give you 5 to 10 minutes in a breakout session, breakout room in Zoom. And then the rest of the class, we will come together and very quickly and efficiently, we will try our best to answer all of the focus questions. Now, what that's going to require is it's going to require each team to choose a representative that day, or maybe I haven't figured that out yet. But one way or another, one person will speak for the team to be efficient that day. Because again, we have a lot to cover. In 40 minutes, we might have as many as 5 focus questions that we need to answer. And that's how we're going to do it. It's going to be an efficient, hopefully, seminar, as it were. And I think what you're going to discover is that you're going to learn a lot by doing it this way. But here's the but. But you are accountable to your teammates. Stated differently, they're going to grade your ass. All right. Eventually, 30% of your grade is going to come from what they think of you as a teammate. And by the way, what you think of them as teammates. You'll get to grade your your teammates. Now, for those of you that haven't done this, it might sound a little bit odd, but it works really super well, in my opinion. It builds responsibility, and it builds accountability. You know, one of the problems with being a teacher, frankly, is how do you get your students to work? You know, how do you get them to not cut corners, and how do you get them to actually do their reading? And what I've discovered in 25 years of teaching is that you guys are much less responsible to me than you will be to one another. And so in these assessments, you're gonna get graded. Now, the way it's going to go is halfway through the semester, you're gonna circulate a qualitative or formative assessment of each of your teammates. And then at the end, you will provide a quantitative assessment. And I've got all kinds of help for you in this regard. I'll give you categories of character, or how should I say this? I'll give you the qualities that you need to pay attention to, and it will work out fine. But what I'm trying to do in this is create buy-in. And there's about 11 or 12 people in these two classes, well, actually in 132, but who've had me before. And I hope that I'm actually telling it like it is, which is to say that this works. But it does work, and it will work. And the reason I need you to do those team placement surveys immediately is so that I can put the teams together and get you guys functioning in teams right away. Obviously, we won't be able to do that by Friday. You will be responsible, by the way, on Friday for focus questions, although you won't be working in team on Friday, I suspect. But we're going to be doing pretty much the same drill every single day in class. Just the subject matter will change. And that's how it's going to roll. That's how we are going to roll. Okay? Now, as far as ethics go, I want to be very clear about this. To the best of my ability, I will not tolerate anyone being a jackass to other people. You need to be decent with one another. I don't care if you disagree with one another. You need to treat each other well. That's why I'm requiring you to watch that microaggressions video. But we live in a time that's energized by deep emotions. We've got an election coming up that has split the country in half, and that will split the country in half. And regardless how it works out, half of the country is going to be pissed off, and half of the country is going to be ecstatic. And this is going to be, and we're in COVID, and we're in the middle of a reaction to racism in this country and all kinds of problems. I mean, this country is a mess right now. And here's my point. This class is not going to be a mess. And you need to behave. You need to be decent to one another. You need to care about other people. And that, by the way, is another reason why I do the teams. I want there to be a community here. I want this to be a community. I want you to be a community. I want you to have friends. I want you to have to bounce things off one another. Yes, I want you to disagree. I want you to see things differently. But I want you to treat one another well. Okay? And so that's a must. And I simply, if I can somehow stop you from being evil to one another, I'm going to do it. But that is an absolute minimum in this class. I also want you to know you're going to have opportunities to cheat. And if I catch you cheating, I will bring the full force of the cheating regime down on you. I do not tolerate cheating. I don't want to tolerate cheating. I hate it. And I hated it when people were cheating off of me. But that's another story. Now, I also believe that what we're engaged in here is a sacred thing. If I didn't make it clear in my personal video, let me just say, my job is sacred to me, and you are sacred to me. The trust that I have been given by my society to help you succeed in life is sacred, and it's my mission field. It's my art space. It's where I do my art. It is sacred to me, and it brings meaning to my life. And I want what we do to bring meaning to your life. And if you can't feel like it's sacred, then I at least want you to treat what we do as sacred. I believe in hard work, and I'm going to make you work. And I think that you need to earn your degree. Degrees are not given. I hate it when people say, oh, I got my degree from UC Davis. I didn't get my degree from UC Davis. I got my PhD. I earned my PhD. I earned my master's degree. I earned my bachelor's degree. It was hard. It was hard every day. Well, I am backing off. The pedal is to the metal. And you'll benefit from it, but you're going to work for it. I believe that coming to class is your job. Now, I understand you have a lot of jobs. You might not be able to come to class, as I said. But I think that coming to class and being prepared builds character. And that's an important point. That's an important point now that I think about it. It's one thing to show up for class. It's another thing to show up. Prepared. Ready. To be a benefit to others and to yourself. That's where the character comes from doing it every day, every week, every month, every semester. And so, you be a success in this class, and it'll translate. It'll translate in more ways than you even understand, which, by the way, may have nothing to do with the subject matter of the class. So when I talk about being concerned about your whole person, your whole soul, well, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not here to create history majors. I'm here to help people and to build people as best I possibly can. Attendance, of course, is not mandatory, but I want you to understand that your teammates will assess you. And if you are not diligent in your attendance, or if you can't make it to a class once in a while or occasionally, and you don't help your classmates out in spite of the fact that you couldn't come to class, that might drop your participation grade. And it happens, you know. Students don't like their teammates not working. What I found is that students are very compassionate, though. And within whatever limits you want to share what's going on in your life with your teammates, you know, they're going to cut you some slack if they think that you should have some slack cut. But the point is that if you miss class, you still have responsibilities to your teammates, and I want you to take that seriously. I've decided that, you know, you can make up an exam, you can read that policy. We'll talk about it, but the point is that, you know, if you have a reasonable excuse or reason that you can't make it to class, then, well, then you can make up an exam. And finally, the university has, shall we say, made it clear. This is a new policy that we're putting in the syllabi for the first time. We want you to understand that there are intellectual property rights, and this class is mine. It's the university's. You cannot record it to make money off of it, which is to say you can use the recordings for your own purposes. You can even show them to your friends, and, well, maybe not your friends, but, you know, you might want to show your parents some of the stuff that you're doing, some of the videos. Who knows? I don't know. But we want to respect intellectual property rights, which means that you have no right to make any money or publish this stuff that I'm publishing. Now, there's a second concern that's not in this paragraph, and it's that this space is sacred. I suspect that we may disagree on some things. I suspect that over the course of the semester, some of you would decide you don't like me. You don't like my politics. You don't like whatever. That's fine. I can live with that. But what I don't want is I don't want you to take advantage of my generosity, of my hard work, by doxing me or exposing me or, trying to deplatform me or cancel me or whatever the case may be. This is personal. This is me and you, and this is a crazy world we live in. And I'm just kind of saying, listen, I want you to be decent, not just to me, but to everybody, but to me too. And if we disagree on some stuff, then that's fine. And by the way, if I ever get completely out of line and you feel like you need to speak up, and you want to speak up to somebody, then speak up to somebody. Go to Dr. Scubin. I'm fine with that. I'm warning you, I do drop the occasional F-bomb, and I say a few cuss words once in a while. It's the new me after having left the church, I guess. I'm making up for 30 years of lost time, but that's part of the academic freedom that we have. I'm not going to try to offend anybody, but as I've already done in this video, I've dropped a couple of words that some people would consider cuss words. So, I mean, the point is that I want you to realize that I got to be me, but I don't have to be a jackass. And if I turn out to be a jackass and I need to be called on the carpet, then by all means, you feel free to do that. But please also understand that, we're adults. And this is a university. And there is a thing called academic freedom. And we should enjoy the protection that provides. But then again, I don't get to overstep, and neither do you. And just as you might call me on something, I'm going to call you on whatever I need to call you on. So it seems to me that that's kind of a fair way to go. But I guess the point is, let's err. If we're going to err, let's err on the side of toleration. Okay. Now the rest of the rest of the syllabus is kind of just jargon that has to be in there. Keep in mind, as I said early on, that you are required to know what's in this syllabus, not just from the video, but what's in it. And so again, I suggest that you go ahead and you read it and carefully understand what's in it. Okay. So I look forward to working with you. If you have any questions, please contact me. I will be having office hours Thursday, which is to say tomorrow, which is to say August, whatever date it is, August 20th. So we are officially started now, and I am started now, and I am here to do all of the things that I have said I'm going to do. I want you to benefit from me. I want you to take advantage of this opportunity. And I look forward to working with you. So that's the introduction to the syllabus and to the course mechanics. And again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me and let me know what's up. All right. So I look forward to what's ahead, and I got a lot of work to do. So do you.